So, John, alongside the environment, the other big issue defining politics in Europe is immigration, of course. You mentioned there that 10 British military engineers are on their way to Poland to help secure the border infrastructure here. But also on the other edge of the continent, a record daily number of channel crossings today at 1,200. That brings the total number of crossings this year, by the way, to almost 23,000, with sadly 3 people feared dead today. On the other edge of Europe, if you will, we hear today that Turkish authorities have decided to stop people from flying from Istanbul into Minsk in Belarus. Now that is significant because previously individual airlines have done this. This is the first time a civil aviation authority of a country have decided to do this. Also in this part of the world, 250 Russian paratroopers joined Belarusian forces in a training drill today. 2 of those Russian paratroopers, we understand, actually died. Now, the training drill and the joint training drill of itself, not particularly of note, but against the backdrop of this crisis, it is nonetheless significant. We've spent the last 2 days trying to understand what this crisis actually means to the people and the families that are on its front line.
The fog of hybrid war. A semi-permanent migrant camp takes shape on the Belarusian border, and more people are coming. Yesterday, a large group got through into no man's land between Belarus and Poland. At night, running along the razor wire fencing picked out by spotlights, full of historical resonance. You can sometimes forget how incongruous all of this is. So, for example, there's a house in a Polish hamlet in the middle of the primeval forest of Beowasia, and in the attic room, a Kurdish Iraqi family who got through the border fence last week. A local couple sheltering them. Why they left Iraq? A long, complicated answer. Suffice to say, living in a forest in Belarus was better than where they were. Like any family, the first video memories they want to share are the happier ones. The family left Iraq and travelled to Istanbul, then flew with the Belarusian carrier Belavia to Minsk on a tourist visa. Once at the border in the forest, Polish soldiers stopped or pushed them back 8 times. At one point they tried to turn back to Minsk, but this was the reaction of the Belarusian guards.
يعني حاتبو ميلي سلاحنا في شكي أتقام بسرمانا بوي خرفيك بلوي كيما جاري كزاتي ونكين بلين أقرينو يعني بقرينو.
When they finally got through into Poland, they were picked up in the forest by a sort of underground network of local people and activists, and ended up here.
Like, as a couple, has this experience brought you closer together or not?
دائما تقريبي لا يعني لدو صاروا سيانزو من يعني حاصل جيرين لقلاكرو يعني اشتكي ابديت كردو بوهردو كمان.
The Beowasia forest and the swamps around it are where the family crossed. Yesterday we got news that a large group of migrants were trying to get through. On the Polish side, the area is inside a special exclusion zone.
So it's just after dawn here near the border. We've decided to come off-road to avoid the checkpoints that are on the road, and now we're in the exclusion zone. The reason why the Polish government have imposed this exclusion zone, they say, is to avoid a media circus, but part of it is in fact to control the narrative, which is why we've decided that it is appropriate for us to come in.
The Polish government talks about this crisis in terms of war, which is why an emergency exclusion zone is in place. If this is the front line, it's a remarkably peaceful one. After about 3 hours, we were picked up by the border guard, politely slapped on the wrist and escorted out of the area. Back with the Kurdish Iraqi family, another exchange with the border police. Here to bring them to a refugee centre where their asylum claim to stay in Poland would continue to be processed. There has been violence on the border, but at the same time framing all of this in terms of conflict serves the interests of Lukashenko and to some extent the Polish government. For the family who stayed here, and those who helped them, they're just dealing with the trauma of constant transit.